Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and this is my review for Extraction 2, the sequel to, Extraction, starring Chris Hemsworth. And for those who have seen Extraction, you will know that it's just balls to the wall, action, mayhem, and carnage right the way through. There's very little story. It's quite simply what you get on the screen, to be quite honest. And the same could be said for this sequel as well. A few years in the making, and to be fair, the story is pretty thin. To be quite honest, it centres around Chris Hemsworth's character, Tyler Rake, being hired to extract. There you go, title. Extract a family who are in a prison. So there's a gangster who has brought his own family into the prison, and they are being abused, and he is hired to extract this family and get them to safety. Obviously, we know it's all going to go horribly wrong, and it does in such fashion. The gangster himself is killed during the extraction as he attempts to stop Chris Hemsworth from taking his family, and the gangster's brother seeks almighty, furious revenge, and thus a chase begins across multiple countries, and the carnage is relentless as it is extreme and much more bolder than it was in the first film. And that pretty much is the plot of the film. It's essentially what follows is just a continuous arc of action and mayhem. And if you've seen the first film, if you enjoyed the first film, then you'll know exactly what it is you're going to get. And what you get in this film is all that you need to get, really. This is pure blooded action. It doesn't preach anything. It doesn't suggest anything. It doesn't procrastinate about current climate or anything about that. It doesn't procrastinate about identity politics, anything like this. It's just a straight up action movie with all the blood and carnage, mayhem and misery you would expect. And to be fair, it's almost a breath of fresh air. It is quite simply, you can put it on, sit there and be enveloped by the action. It's a pure and utter popcorn movie. Turn your brain off, allow the mayhem to unfold, and go with it. And although for me, weirdly enough, I don't think it's as tight and as intense as the first film. There were a lot of tight shots in the first film as we moved around. I can't remember exactly where it was set, but there were many tight shots. We were moving in between buildings, moving through buildings, rooms, and the action centered around, tight-knit, close-quarters combat. This is bigger, broader, more expansive. There's a lot more going on. The action, there are a lot of close-quarter action scenes, don't get me wrong, especially one moment during the prison extraction where they fight in a courtyard, which is very, very reminiscent of the Raid 2, where a huge brawl takes place in a courtyard, and it's just martial arts mayhem. We do get some very good close quarter combat scenes in this. The courtyard is by far my favourite scene in the entire film. It's brutal. It ramps up, starts off with fisticuffs, Chris Hemsworth trying to bat people back, and it switches to him having to execute people with his guns because this just gets too chaotic. But we move on from that. As we go through the rest of the film, it expands, it grows larger. There's helicopters, there's vehicles, there's a bike chase scene. Weirdly, there's a Wilhelm scream in there somewhere, and again I sort of thought, oh well, Return of the Jedi, the bikers, hitting trees. There's a lot here to admire in the way it's set, the way it's staged, and the way it's ramped up. Like I said, it's an expansion of the first film. The action is much more broader. Like I said, there's helicopters, there's use of miniguns, heavy machine guns, rocket launchers, you name it, it is in here. And with that, you do get a sense that it is paced and staged, almost like video gamey. You're moving through levels, they're moving through levels, they get to the final section, they pick up a bigger weapon to take down the boss at the end of the stage. It does feel like that throughout this film, but that's not a detriment at all, because of how well it's staged, how well it's set, how wonderful it looks, how incredibly crisp it sounds. The weapons, the use of like I said, the minigun, heavy machine gun, rocket launchers. The sound is inch perfect throughout, absolutely inch perfect. What does let it down is just it. There's not really much to grasp onto beyond that, and when I say let it down, it's almost as if the dialogue is, you know, you don't really need it. You don't really care what people are saying, and it's a shame. There are a few moments where we're trying to delve into more of Tyler Rake, Chris Hemsworth past. What happened with his family. This sort of overriding sense that he's trying to run away from his past, and we do get explanations of that. We do get some emotional moments, but they don't quite hit because the writing simply isn't there for it. The dialogue simply isn't there for it. And after the chaos we see, it's kind of you're almost baiting for the rest of the film to just get on with it, which is a shame, really. But again, because it's pure-blooded action, I don't know what else you would expect, or what else you could expect or demand from it. To be quite honest, I will say that Chris Hemsworth is clearly having an absolute blast with these films, and it's been confirmed there is going to be an Extraction 3, and the film ends in such a way that it does leave the door wide open. There is a wonderful sort of appearance from Idris Elba, who plays almost like the middleman, kind of the hirer, and he makes reference at the end of the film to a gnarly motherfucker. So interesting to see where this film can go. Yet again, judging by what happens at the end. But there we go. The first film left us in a similar vein, thinking, oh, well, that's one and done, and here we are. We have a sequel. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. The choreography in this film is brilliant as always. It's not as balletic or as well crafted as, say, the John Wick films. But what this film does have in abundance is explosions and carnage, rampant mayhem. John Wick is very, very centralized in a weird way, even though it's so extreme and ridiculous and mythological in a way. This film is just absolute. It's painting the ceiling in red all the way through, and orange with the orange explosions, absolutely chaotic. But it's a thoroughly enjoyable action movie, pure action movie. I would highly recommend it. If you did enjoy the first one, if you're an action movie junkie in general, then this is probably right up your street, and I would wholly recommend you check the film out. Is it better than the first one? I'm a little bit on the fence at the moment. I can't remember exactly what I rated the first one, but I'm a little bit on the fence because, like I said, the tighter moments in the first film, that really intense close quarters combat, we don't get as much of it here. And like I said, it is much more open world in a way. There you go. The first film was very tight and linear. This film is much more open world with the carnage and the mayhem. There's a video game sort of connection for you, like I said. But yes, I did very much enjoy this. Do I think it's better than the first film? I'm not quite sure. But I will be giving this, as an action movie fan, I will be giving this a nice, solid 7 out of 10. I really did enjoy it. No, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, actually. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I don't think there's much that this film did wrong in terms of the action. I think it is just, when it drifts into dialogue, you kind of zone out. It drifts into the emotional moments. Unfortunately, they don't land. It doesn't work. It's a bit of a shame, really. And the kid in this film does something really obvious, really tropey, and it's kind of predictable, really. You can see it coming a mile away what he's going to do. So, with that in mind, I will leave it as an 8 out of 10. There you go. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this review, please do give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and yeah, thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.